What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to From the Bench. I'm your host, Will Meadows, and today is our Friday edition of the show, where we've got a good bit to talk about. There's some drama going on around the bowl game world. Not bowl game, I guess. Our playoff game against Ohio State, revolving tickets. We'll get into that. We've got stuff to talk about with basketball as they got a big win against Miami in Madison Square Garden. All that and more is what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into anything, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment how you feel about all this ticket controversy. One, if you already knew about it. Two, if you're about to learn about it right now. So we'll start with football as we usually do when it's football and basketball together. So first, guys in the transfer portal. Yesterday, Nathan Laycock hit the portal, which I kind of didn't care for. I wish he would have stayed. I think he's a good talent. Jordan Matthews is in the portal. Chaz Nimrod's in the portal. Caleb Webb is in the portal. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I think that's four right there. And I feel like I'm missing somebody. But I'm not sure. Again, sorry. I still got the really bad cough from the sickness, but we're going to get through it. They came out with the first, second, and third team All-SEC's awards. Obviously, on the last episode, we knew Dylan Sampson was the SEC Player of the Year from USA Today. But the AP and the SEC coaches and commissioners and stuff like that voted Dylan Sampson the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. So good for him. Obviously, that made him first team All-SEC, joined by Cooper Mays and James Pierce. Jermon McCoy was snubbed from first team All-SEC, in my opinion. You guys know how I feel about Jermon McCoy. He was second team, though, and then Javonte Spraggins was third. I was surprised not to see a guy like Joshua Josephs on there. Just one more defensive lineman. You'd think, I mean, they snubbed a lot of people. Guys like Dylan Stewart didn't even make it. I could have, I'm not going to say snubbed, but Boo Carter not on there, or even Will Brooks kind of surprised me. But they had guys like Malachi Starks, second team. I don't understand how you can be second team in your own conference, but then also be nominated for Defensive Back of the Year. That doesn't make any sense to me. Malachi Starks is a safety at Georgia. Trey Harris, who is probably, in my opinion, the best receiver in the SEC, it was third team, which is just outrageous. I mean, there was a lot of stuff. I mean, obviously, if you made it, you made it. If you didn't, you didn't. But there's a lot of guys that you could have made the case for on a lot of teams. And that's the case with anything for awards. Obviously, not everybody's going to agree with everybody. And that's just how it is. But that kind of covers all the bases of just news around the program. But the ticket controversy I was speaking about was, so if you don't know, obviously season ticket holders, like when we were, if Tennessee was going to get their home game, season ticket holders were going to have the chance to buy their seat, get their seat for the game. Ohio State did it a little different way. Like, season ticket holders got a code in order to try and buy tickets. I don't know if they necessarily got their exact seat, but they got a code in order to try and get tickets. That code got leaked by Tennessee fans. The code was OSUFB, like Ohio State University Football. I mean, what are we doing, man? It's the easiest 5-digit. That would have been, me and my buddy were talking, like, that would have been one of my first guesses. Like, that is horrible. And so rumors are saying, if this is true, this is crazy for a game that's about 5 hours away with traffic, that we're going to have about 35% fan attend. And one of the biggest, they have over 102,000. The Horseshoe is bigger than Neyland Stadium, if my mind serves me correct. That we'll have about 35% of the stadium filled in orange, which is just absolutely unreal. And I was saying to somebody else, like, if you can really get up early on them quick, like, this team will turn against, this crowd will turn against Ohio State quickly. And not necessarily turn against Ohio State, but turn against Ryan Day quickly. Ohio State fans already don't like Ryan Day. If you follow college football, you understand that he has not beaten Michigan 4 years in a row now, and he has the most expensive roster in college football, and he seems to still not be able to win anything worth anything. And he doesn't. Not only does he not win anything worth anything, he doesn't beat Michigan, which is a problem to Ohio State fans. So I think if you can get up on this team, if you win the kickoff, I'm taking the ball. I'm going to score, getting a stop, and then going to score. If you can get up 14-0 on these guys quick, that crowd could turn on them pretty quickly, no matter what point of the game, first, second, third, or fourth quarter. Football, obviously there's not a ton to talk about. We're going to talk about more recruits, and obviously while I was sick, National Signing Day, we're not really going to talk about that. I mean, you guys saw that. We got most of our signees. We had a 3-star flip to us from Miami. We lost Lagonza Hayward, who was one of our better recruits, 4-star safety, and they're saying he's going to flip to Florida. But not flip, but decommit and then commit. He decommitted, I think, two days before signing day. So we'll talk more about the transfer portal, maybe some guys that I want us to get and target with this coming week, and that's what we're going to talk about on the Tuesday episode. But for basketball, shifting to it, because, I mean, there's really more to talk about that this week. They're coming off of a big win against Miami in Madison Square Garden, like I said. Zakai Ziegler not led the way, but he had operated the show, was the engine, with 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 10 assists. I mean, a great game by him. Igor Milicic had 16 points and 9 rebounds. And, I mean, he is just consistent, man. He has been consistent all year. And speaking of consistent, Chaz Lanier gave us 22 again, and it was on all jumpers, baby. I mean, that's the way Chaz Lanier likes to do it. He shot over 50% from 3 once again. I mean, and he really made some headlines and put the country on notice. I think obviously we don't know the real rankings, but I think I saw some stuff that had him about 6th in the National Player of the Year race right now, and he's putting the country on notice. And so is Tennessee in general. They've got a big, big game this Saturday at Illinois, who's coming off of a big win in their own right. Like I said, it's at Illinois. I think it's the State Farm Center is what they're called, but it's probably the best team we've played all year, them or Baylor. We know what we did to Baylor, but I think Illinois is probably a bit of a better team than them. They're talented. They have a lot of talented freshmen. Illinois does. So it should be a good game. They're not ranked right now, but it's weird. So they were ranked last week. They lost. They have 2 losses, I think, and then they've won against a ranked team earlier this week. So, in technicality, they're probably a top 25 team. I definitely think they're a top 25 team. If they restarted the rankings today, I think they'd be ranked a top 25 team. So it's going to be a big one. Should be a hostile environment. Our last few games against Illinois, last year I went to the game here. Was a great game, and we got the win over them. So hopefully we can go there. It's going to be a hostile environment. Louisville was a pretty good environment when we went over there, if you guys remember that. One of the first games of the year. Louisville plays Kentucky this week, so Kentucky got a good win 2 nights ago against Colgate, which Colgate's Colgate, I know, but Colgate's a good basketball team. There's a reason Colgate finds themselves in the tournament more years than not in recent years. But obviously, you win this, and you really, really put the country on notice. You move to 10-0. I think we're 9-0 right now. Move to 10-0 and stay at the number 1 team in the country, and then I think we move into SEC play here soon. I think Arkansas is one of our first games in SEC play. So Arkansas actually just got a big win against Michigan the same night. They were the game after us at Madison Square Garden. So should be a good one. Like I said, for basketball on Tuesday, because again we're doing both sports on the show right now. We're going to talk obviously a bit of a review of the Illinois game, but then a little SEC preview is what we're going to get into just before we get into SEC play. Just to kind of recap where teams are at, the SEC is really good right now. Missouri is coming off of a big week where they beat down the number 1 team in the country in Kansas. Tennessee is really good. Kentucky. Auburn is, in my opinion, Auburn's the best team in the country. But Tennessee, Kentucky, and Auburn are all top 5 in the country right now. Florida is good. Walter Clayton Jr. is one of the best guards in the country. Ole Miss is good. Like I said, Missouri is good. Texas is solid. They've got some good bucket getters. A&M solid. I mean, there's Arkansas, again, is solid. They may be ranked this week. I'm not sure after their win against Michigan. But it's not going to be easy to win the SEC this year. That's for sure. Alabama. I didn't even say Alabama. They're a top 10 team in the country. So it's going to be rough. We're going to have a little bit of an overview of, not really an overview, but a checkpoint measuring stick of where teams are at pre-SEC play. So also Mississippi State too. I think there's a lot of big matchups. Like I said, Louisville and Kentucky, which is obviously a big rivalry. But I think, as I said, Mississippi State is. I forgot to say them. They are one of the better teams in the country too. I think they are ranked. But this Saturday is a big day across college basketball for a lot of SEC teams. Alabama's got Creighton, which Creighton beat Kansas. Creighton struggled, but they've got Ryan Calcabrin. If you guys remember him, he's a big 7-footer that we face in the tournament. Creighton's got a solid team, and they always like to dethrone some of the Giants in terms of the regular season, which they did last year too against UConn. And like I said, they already did against Kansas. And then A&M has to go to Purdue, I'm pretty sure. 17 versus 11 ranking matchup, I think. And then obviously us and Illinois. Ole Miss plays Southern Miss, I think. I don't think that's a very good one. But there's a lot of stuff going all around college basketball right now. And the SEC is one of the hottest conferences in the sport. Them and the Big 12 are really, I think, the best. Obviously, the SEC dominated the ACC-SEC Challenge. Whoa, that's a lot of SEC speaking. They absolutely dominated. It was 14-2, and the only two that lost were Kentucky and Auburn, 2 of the top 5 teams. So Kentucky lost to Clemson, and Auburn lost to Duke. So can't really fault Auburn on that one. And it was at Cameron Indoor, which is not easy to play in. But I mean, like I said, there's a lot going on in college basketball right now. The SEC's got a loaded week, and it's always going to be loaded. Like I said, this is the last week before conference play gets kicking and going. But I think that's just about going to wrap it up for around college football. Not really around college football, but I just saw it before we started recording. Travis Hunter won the Biletnikoff, and he won the Defensive Player of the Year award, or Defensive Back of the Year award. One of the two. I mean, that kid is absolutely unreal. Ashton Jeanty won the Doak Walker Award. I don't remember what the Quarterback of the Year award is called, but I know Cam Ward from Miami won it. So just around kind of college football, and also around college football, there's 2 college game days for these games coming up this Friday. That college game day will be at Ohio State, December 21st for our game, which, I mean, that's the third college game day of the year for Tennessee, and they've all been away games, so that's kind of crazy. I think Oklahoma was college game day, if I'm not mistaken, Georgia, and now this. They're going to 2 places, like I said. The day before, they're going to Notre Dame and Indiana, and next week I'm going to have I think I'm going to do it on Friday after we predict for the Tennessee-Ohio State game, my college football prediction, and hint, hint. Excuse me, guys, I'm sorry. Hint, hint, I think I'm going to have Notre Dame in the national championship. I think they have a good draw. I think Notre Dame is really underrated, and nobody really wants to give them credit due to them not being in the conference, which is dumb, yes, but they're a really good football team with a loaded secondary, a really good run game, and one of the better running backs in the country. And I think they have a good draw, especially if Carson Beck doesn't get to play, and if they have to play a Gunnar Stockton-led Georgia, I think that that defense can get after Gunnar Stockton. But not going to give my full analysis now. Like I said, we'll probably have that on the Friday episode after we predict Tennessee versus Ohio State for the day before all the games happen. I guess one game will happen that night. Notre Dame and Indiana. So I think that's about going to wrap it up for today's episode. Again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for all the support. I hated having to miss last week, like I said, but we're going to get back on the horse and get it back going and consistent. I've been pretty consistent with it in general. Just last week, kind of had to eat the punches. But we're going to get back on the saddle, back on the horse, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to get the show back going. Thank you guys for all the support, like I said, and thank you guys for watching this episode of the Friday edition of From the Bench, and go Vols.